Have you ever wondered what would happen if you just stopped worrying about decluttering your home? From personal experience living in 9 different homes over the last 28 years and raising a family in 5 of them, along with a lifetime of trial and error, I've learned some things about decluttering that freed up my time and my mental load. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can focus less on decluttering to improve your mental health. The way in which social media's pressure to declutter impacts us busy parents and homeowners. How to find a balance between cleanliness and comfort. And the surprising advantages that parents and homeowners experience when they stop stressing over keeping everything tidy and begin ignoring the clutter. But first, how can you focus less on decluttering and improve your mental health so you don't miss out on all the other things life has to offer? And this actually pains me because I see so many of my peers prioritizing decluttering and feeling rather miserable. But first, let me tell you a story about a time when I used to be obsessed with decluttering. From the time I was first married back in 1996 at 26 years old until my oldest left for college in 2023, you could have considered me the queen of decluttering. You see, I grew up in a small 2-bedroom apartment shared with my parents and my older sister. Since my mother was the queen of tidy, it made sense that I would eventually inherit her crown. Growing up, our little 650 square foot apartment looked like it was straight out of a magazine. Everything was always in its place, and if it wasn't nailed down, it was at risk of being donated. I remember my mother always being a little bit stressed, a whole lot exhausted, and quite frankly, very, very cranky. By default, and probably by genes, when I finally had a place to call my own, I began to follow the same patterns. Fast forward 22 years, through a divorce, a recoupling, moving 4 times, buying a new home, and poof, now the kids are adults. And that's when I finally had an epiphany. I realized that my obsession with a perfectly organized home had taken a toll on my well-being. I was living under the false expectation that my home, regardless of any extenuating circumstances, had to always be tidy. I was already balancing a full-time job as a teacher with parenting and helping to run a household with now a blended family of 3 children. But really, who was I doing this for? I was now feeling like my mother back in the 80s. A little bit stressed, a whole lot of exhausted, and really very, very cranky. How can less focus on decluttering improve your mental health? Believe it or not, the constant need to keep everything pristine was causing more harm than good. I was struggling to keep my morning and evening clutter clearing routines while working full time and being a single mom to my kids. Later on, did my partner and our kids care about the clutter? Not really. Was it fair to me to impose my needs onto them if they were already thriving and happy? Not really. Since there weren't any other people living with me day to day who cared as much as I did, I started to ask myself, what if I stopped worrying about decluttering so much? How could this shift improve my mental health? Let's face it, social media bombards us with images of perfectly organized homes and minimalist lifestyles. It's easy to feel like we're failing ourselves and our families if our own spaces don't measure up to this picturesque ideal. But here's the thing. Those images are curated. They don't show the real lived-in homes that most of us have. Most of us live busy lives, whether we have children at home or not, and we don't have the time to keep morning and evening clutter-clearing routines. The truth is, many of us have more than we need in any one rooms of our home because we live in a consumer culture. And on weekends, we want to have time for activities other than bringing bags of unwanted things to the thrift store. And then many of us have piles of stuff that just never gets put away. It's the reality of having families sharing spaces, having hobbies, and living full, productive, enjoyable lives. How does social media's pressure to declutter impact us? Well, the pressure from social media can make us feel like we're not good enough and that our homes need to be picture perfect at all times. No offense to other creators, but have you seen those refrigerator restock videos? My fridge will never look like that. But I felt this way before there was even social media. Have you ever looked through the pages of a House Beautiful magazine? This was the magazine my mother lived by. The pressure to live up to that was immense. But life isn't a photo shoot. Real life is messy, and that's gotta be okay. So is it possible for you to find a balance between cleanliness and comfort? It's not about letting everything go to chaos. I'm not suggesting that you allow your closets and your cabinets to overflow or that you never tidy up here and there. That wouldn't be reasonable. It's about recognizing that a little bit of clutter is a sign of life. It's a sign that your home is being lived in and enjoyed. It's a sign that the people in your home are focusing on what's important in life. So what is the balance between cleanliness and comfort? For me, it meant setting realistic expectations and prioritizing what really mattered. Instead of spending hours tidying up, I focused on creating a home that felt warm and welcoming. We have a house rule that shoes are off at the door and there's a basket there to toss them in. We use cloth napkins for meals, and each person leaves their napkin through the carved opening in the dining chair. Also, since we keep well hydrated, rather than using a new cup each time we're thirsty, each person leaves one cup out on the table each day to use throughout the day. All this may look like clutter to some, but this is one way we balance cleanliness and comfort in our home. When I stopped worrying so much about decluttering, I started to notice little things that made my home special, like the torn up cat tree at the French doors telling me that my cats have happily enjoyed it. Likewise with the cat toys all over the wooden floors. A pile of blankets tossed all over the couch remind me of the nights we snuggle there and laugh at our favorite shows and movies together. And then there's the Christmas decorations left strewn on the fireplace hearth. Honestly, I can't come up with an excuse for that. But anyway, these are the things that make my house a home. There are advantages that come from ignoring your clutter. First, you'll discover that your home feels more inviting and cozy. Who wants to live in a museum where the second something gets out of place, the alarms go off? Secondly, you'll find that you have more time and energy to do the things that you love with your family, like watching movies on the cozy couch, playing with your pets, going out and taking walks, being creative, playing games. Aren't these the things we wanted out of our homes to begin with? Now, decluttering isn't the answer to all of your problems, but here's what is. It's about finding a balance that works for you. If having a spotless house makes you happy, then go for it. But if the constant need to declutter is stressing you out, it's okay to take a step back. From personal experience and that lifetime of trial and error that I referred to before, I've learned that it's the memories and the moments that matter most, not the perfectly organized closets. So what if you stopped worrying about decluttering? You might just find that life becomes a little easier, a little happier, and a lot more enjoyable. But there's one more incredibly important thing you should consider regarding decluttering, and that's about not buying more than you need in the first place. To learn what I chose to stop buying in my 50s, watch this video next.